We will have two really nice sessions, is developing inclusive programs with 3 presentations, and afterwards developing work cultures that center well-being and inclusion with another 3 presentations. And Miranda and Maddy is in charge. In both sessions are in charge, sorry, and we will start with Miranda. The session Sensory Cinema, Creating Inclusive Programming. Yeah. So that's your stage.
Yes, I know. I will tell you a bit more about the project that we are running at het Hoogt in Utrecht. It's about sensory cinema. And it started off with an idea that we really wanted, we had the ambition to create a program that catered to people with hearing disabilities. I think that was the start of the project, just that idea. And of course we had some experience with hearing aids, extra subtitling in the screening room, but we wanted to make something more interesting or more fascinating than that. And because we didn't have any experience with that ourselves, we went out and found different collaborators on that really knew their stuff, which is how we found the Sen City Festival in Utrecht. They are a festival that for more than 20 years started off as a music festival for people with hearing disabilities. And together with Possibilize, which is a production company that specializes in creative projects for people with physical disabilities, they created Sen City. And Sen City is a festival that has the ambition to be the most inclusive festival in the world. I think that's a very good ambition to have. So we started talking to them, and they provided us with a lot of information about what people need, what people would maybe want from a film screening that we didn't talk about. And in the end, I will talk a bit more about that later, they did the whole direction of the sensory part of the screening. And of course, we were also in need, I have pictures of the posters here, and we were also, of course, in need of a film program and someone that could really curate that part of the experience. So we teamed up with Kaboom Animation Film Festival, whom we created the Shorts program. And we had to apply for project funds. We did that for 2 different project funds in Utrecht, and we were successful, thankfully. So we were able to go through with our plans. And in 2024, we had the first edition of Sen Cinema. And we've continued that in March of 2025, so we had 2 editions now. And I will tell you a bit more about what it is. Because Sen Cinema is, at the moment, a program with 3 animated shorts. The program was held at the screening room at the library, as it is a venue that a lot of people know and is easily accessible, for example, if you're using a wheelchair. The program was about 45 minutes long, and it would be screened 3 times each day. And Sen Cinema is a multi-sensory film experiment, which makes the film experience a much more layered experience than just sitting and watching and hearing. It caters to different senses, so that if one of your senses, for example hearing or sight, is compromised, you'll be able to experience the shorts in a much more sensory way. But of course, everyone is able to take part, so everyone is welcome to visit these screenings. What it practically meant is that if you entered the screening room, you'd be welcomed by a presenter that also was able to present in sign language. This person would guide you through the experiments and tell you when you were invited to take action. Because at the beginning of the screening, you all received a package with different items in it that tickled the senses. And these items were selected by Sen City to, if you used it during the screening of the shorts, you would be, it would like heighten the emotion or heighten what was going on the screen. And for example, the touch of a feather, or the taste of candy, or the smell of fresh lime, something like that. And there was also a fan in the room, so we could imitate a breeze, circulate different aromas. So a little bit like 4XD, but really, really not like 4XD. Much more zen, much more relaxed, very relaxed environment we tried to create. So in that way, people could experience film in a different way than we're used to, and in a more holistic way as well. And I think that a couple of things were very important with creating this project. For example, very good information beforehand. So people would know what they could expect. Make sure your website is accessible. That's something that we sometimes forget. And also cater to people who maybe want to go to the screening room beforehand to see where they will sit and where they will be during the screening. But also a lack of photography. So you see, I do not have any pictures of this event because we chose not to have a photographer there to pretty much invade on the screening. We really want to create a very safe space for the people, which is, I think, very important if you open up all your senses, and you're invited to do that. It should really be a safe space where you are able to do that. And we got really great reactions both years, which was very good to see. And we are continuing on. We are planning on continuing this collaboration, and are also looking to expand the program, maybe to different locations. Maybe try it to be a more regular thing, because it's now once a year, and I would love to be able to do this on a more frequent note. But also try to see if we can maybe share costs with other cinemas, do something like that, because we really do need long-term funds, because it's quite a pricey thing to do this. So yeah, it's in process, and it's I think a very good pilot maybe what we're doing now, and it's also a very interesting thing to look at cinema in a maybe different way than the usual setting. So that's it for now.
Thank you, Miranda.
Thank
I
you.
have just a quick question.
Yes.
Do you have any idea to extend the program by using devices like VR?
That's a very interesting thought. I think at the moment, no, because we still want to be like a collective with people in the same room experience. But it might be quite interesting to do that later on, yeah. But then you are, of course, because you have the site, that might also be compromised. VR might not be the best way to do that, but yeah.
And afterwards, how, let's say the visitors are in a good mood, in a sensitive mood?
It really depends.
Yeah?
Some people are still a bit overwhelmed, which can happen. But most of the people that came out of the cinema were very surprised and very glad that they took that they went there. Yeah.
And do they stay at the place for drinks or snacks?
Yeah, that's quite difficult at the library. So they do have a cafe, but it's out of our sight, so we don't really know. No.
Thank you. Any questions?
3 screenings. And I think around, I did see the figures, I think 30 people a screening, so 90 each year. It's not a lot.
You said the information before the event should be accessible to everyone. I have a question to everyone here. How do you handle the new, I have to search for the name, Accessibility Act that's coming up? I think it's in whole Europe, right?
Very true. We go about it by implementing it to our a venue, of course, that we're trying to build, which is quite an easy way to go through it, I think, because we are starting again, so it is something we can do. But I think online it's also quite a big thing. But marketing us on that, don't really know any more about that.
Okay. Does anyone wants to tell me a bit more about it?
I think we live in different worlds, because if you build a new cinema, you have obligations and you have to make it accessible. A lot of us are living in very old buildings where it's my own cinema, for example, it's completely impossible. There are certain regulations where we built new toilets, for instance, and because they were new, they're in the cellar. It's like a Dutch staircase. It's not feasible for anyone with any physical impairments, but we were obliged to build a huge handicapped toilet, and it will never in history be used by a handicapped person. So I think we have different geographies, so to speak.
But then again, if the act is there longer, that people that are trying to build new stuff will implement it, so it will get better.
So last question here from Christo.
I think we all have the prejudice that this kind of experience is very expensive. So can you talk a bit about the pricing, budget, everything, partnerships that enable you to actually do it?
Yeah, it was quite expensive, to be quite frank. I think that both Kaboom, the festival, and Sense Cinema Festival and we all put in €1,000, and that was next to the funding that we got. So yeah, it's quite pricey, but you do see that the second year it gets less pricey because you already did like the main work. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Miranda.
Thank you.
So the next presentation is by Arianna Issoglio. Here you are. Cineteatro Baretti, your friendly neighbor. Sounds exciting. Your stage.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say that I'm really bad in making PowerPoints, and I didn't use ChatGPT, so I hope it will work anyway. So I am Arianna. I work in Cineteatro Baretti, which is like a small theater cinema in Turin. With the name of the presentation, I wanted to highlight the fact that like everything we do is for the neighborhood, like for the community. Our cinema is alive since like more than 20 years, and we do a lot of collaborations with the association and with the spaces like in the city, and especially in the neighborhood where we are. So every time we think about a project, we think about the people who can come, or like what we can do for the people like around us. I want to present you like 3 projects that we made in the last like 3-4 years. The first one is Cine Biberon. It's like the word, it's a merge of cinema and biberon, which is the baby bottle. So the idea was to create some screenings for people with infants, mothers, fathers, grandparents, nannies, like whomever. The project is focused for the adults part, not like the babies. This is why we actually changed the posters, because the first one, which is really cute, but seemed a little bit more like for screenings for kids and not for like the adults. Yeah, so we set up the room. So we had like the changing table in the toilet. We had like the baby bottle warmer, and then there's like the lights in the back of the hall are gonna stay lit for like the entire screening. And of course, the volume of the movie it's lower than the usual. The project was funded by by the city. We decided like maybe something that I have to say is that our cinema is like a second vision cinema. I don't know how to say it in English. Second run, yeah. So usually our prices are really low. So it's like 5 the full and 4 like the reduced. And for these screenings, we kept like 4 for everybody. Like, of course, the kids didn't pay anything, but for the adults. It's a really nice project. We are still trying to convince people to come, which is the hardest part. Even though we like made like a marketing campaign and we try to involve also the schools and like all the connections we have, it's still not so easy to bring people. The project, like the screenings, are held every 2 weeks on Friday morning. So one of the complaints we got is that people sometimes are working on Friday morning. So maybe we will try to do it also on the weekends. We didn't do it so far because, yeah, well, we don't have the energy or like the people to do that, but we'll see. But yeah, like we are actually really proud of this project because when even just 1 or 2 or 3 people are coming, it's nice and they kind of now know each other, so they come together and they also talk about kids and stuff. So it's really nice. The second project, it's Il Cinema Accessibile, so like the accessible cinema. It was a project made together with Cultura Accessibile, which is like an organization that think about like how to make the cinema accessible for people with sensory disabilities. So we made 4 screenings of old Italian movies, and the association was giving us the movies with like Italian subtitles, and they developed an app where the people coming to the screenings could have also the audio descriptions of the movies, and it was completely free, so people could come without paying a ticket. Yeah, it was also like a nice project. I have to say, this project was held like 3 years ago when I just started working there. So also I don't know so much about the numbers and everything, but yeah, it was also part of a bigger project with funding. So we didn't manage to do it again because it's quite hard to like find the movies already with subtitles, and also a lot of people came actually to me asking, but why you don't do it again? But it's always about the money, unfortunately. The last project, it's has like the young people as a target. Il biglietto sospeso, it means like the paid it forward ticket. It was made together with AMPI, which is like the National Italian Association of Partisans. So we created a crowdfunding where people could give us like money, like whatever they wanted to, and the fundings is used to have some tickets that are gonna be used for young people, especially off-campus students, which are the ones who have to like have more like economical like problems. This was also like a project made to get more young people to come to the cinema. As you can see, it worked like pretty well. The good thing is that they don't have to pay anything, and once they started coming, of course, they spread the word. So, like, yeah. And this project was made like at the same time as another project was like made. We started last year a project for creating like a group of young people who could help us like in the cinema. So we gave like some lessons on how to build a festival for university students. And they created a festival last year in November, which was a really nice success. So, yeah, this is really important for us because we have like an old audience. So for us to help us, people like young people come to the cinema and like watch the movies, enjoy like the place. It's really important. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Regarding this audio transcription, is it a special company? Yeah, okay. Is it operating Italian in whole Italy? Okay. In Germany, there is as well as such a company. It's called Greta and Starks. Maybe they are working European-wide. Maybe you can ask them. Okay. A very nice person. CNET. No? CNET. Okay, any questions? Over there.
Grazie. Thank you, Arianna. I just have some two very short questions. I would like to know what movies you showed at Cine Biberon. And the same question as Mustafa had. Is it movie reading you worked with for the app?
Yeah. So, well, for the first question, we did the screenings like on Friday mornings, and we do usually one movie per weekend. So we would give the same movie in that morning. So like every week the movie would change. I don't know, like we didn't really choose the movie like specifically. It would be just like one of the movies that it's in our program, and we would screening like one more time for that like specific event. For the Cultura Accessibile, I don't know, like because I wasn't working in the cinema at that time, so I don't know so much about like the project itself. I know that it's really not so easy to find these kind of like movies because they cost a lot, and actually a lot of people ask me coming to the cinema, but why you don't do this? And like the distribution company don't really make it.
But you can push them.
Yeah,
I know in Germany that they are going to it to transcript every movie.
Okay. Then we should.
It's up to your exhibitors, and you have to push the exhibitor, the distribution companies, I think. Thank you very much, Arianna. So next is Joanna Stankiewicz. Is it right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will try to kiss the microphone. So hello everyone. My name is Joanna, and I've been working with film for many years, mostly in the context of festivals. I actually studied cultural studies, not film studies. So I call myself rather a cultural animator than a cinema professional. For me, film and culture as a whole has always been a tool for social change, a way to build community, shift perspectives, and create space for those who are often left out. So that's why today I want to tell you about Cinema Without Barriers, a project that quite simply is changing people's lives. So, next slide. So, Cinema Without Barriers was launched in 2022 in Cinema Palacowe, which is a part of Zamek Cultural Center in Poznań, Poland. It's a city of around 500,000 inhabitants. From the very beginning, our goal was to offer regular weekly screenings, not special events, with audio description for blind and visually impaired people, subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, and Polish Sign Language interpretation for those deaf community members who use only or mainly that language to communicate. Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I'm in my panic mode. Okay. The cinema is also architecturally accessible and equipped with an induction loop for people who are using the hearing aid. We wanted people with disabilities to experience new films, not films from 2 or 3 years ago that were shown at occasional one-off events. We wanted them to join the wider conversation at the same time as everyone else. Our values from day one have been inclusivity, accessibility, and participation. We designed the program with a broad audience in mind, people with visible and invisible disabilities, people who face financial barriers, this is also very crucial for us, and also people without any kind of disability or health issue. We wanted all of us to meet in the same room and experience film together on equal terms. Okay. So, when people think about accessibility, they often picture ramps or hearing loops or Braille alphabet. These are essential, but they are just the beginning. So my colleague, we were very lucky because my colleague Bartek Lis, who is working with us, he's a sociologist and a researcher, and he talks, he worked with us, he conducted a lot of research studies in the beginning of our project. And he talks about 2 types of accessibility, mechanical ones, which means tool, technologies, and architecture, but also the relational accessibility built on trust, dialogue, and knowing your audience. So my practical tip after 3 years of doing this project is adding a ramp doesn't automatically bring wheelchair users through your doors. You need to communicate what's accessible and what's not. Invite people personally, talk to local communities, earn their trust. These groups, I mean, for example, people with disabilities, but you can also think about any minorities, have often been excluded from culture for years. So we need to show they are truly welcome in our institutions. So relational accessibility for us also means inclusive communication. We follow principles like stating clearly what accessibility is available and what isn't, using simple, respectful and inclusive language, providing information in sign language when it's possible, writing image description and using alt text, which I'm using ChatGPT actually for now, because it's very easy to write alt text with ChatGPT, sharing practical info, for example, how to get to the cinema, where to find accessible toilets, this is the crucial information for wheelchair users, or what barriers might still be present, because we will never be totally accessible. And so my practical tip here will be put accessibility info at the top, not hidden it at the bottom, because people who need audio description or sign language interpretation won't search through your entire site. They want to know right away what is available and accessible to them. So we compiled all of this in a free online guide, which I will share the link at the end. And story of success. We started with weekly accessible screenings in one cinema in Poznań. Then with funding from Europa Cinemas, from Collaborate to Innovate scheme, we expanded to Wrocław. This is a big city of around 600,000 inhabitants, and Jarocin, it's a town of about 26,000 inhabitants. So now, with Creative Europe support, we've brought Cinema Without Barriers to 8 smaller towns across the Greater Poland region. The Greater Poland is the region where Poznań is based. And it works, people come, even in rural areas. And it's because the local cinemas, according to our model of accessible film culture, built relationships with schools, with families, with NGOs that are working in the area. And still, we need to remember that people with disabilities are everywhere. Statistics in Poland shows that they make up of around 10% of the population. So we also expanded to 4 other countries, Slovenia, Slovakia, Hungary, and Romania. And we found out after 1 year of conducting this project together with our partners that even one accessible screening per month can change someone's experience, but it has to be regular, not just symbolic. So people come back when they feel truly invited. So the crucial thing in our project is audience research as relationship building. So when we started to write our first grant in 2022, we already knew what hadn't worked in past accessibility projects in our institution. So we said, let's not assume, let's talk. We conducted qualitative audience research, not just to collect data, but to build relationship also. We spoke with people with sensory disabilities, caregivers, community members. On the photos you see our Deaf Community Association. We are talking with them with the help of the interpreter about our promotional materials. We've now done studies in 2 cinemas in Poland and in 4 partner countries, and the results, the report is in English, so if anyone is interesting, I can send the link. And currently we are doing the research process in small towns across our region. So once again, a tip, you don't have to be a sociologist. Audience research can start with 1 phone call, 1 meeting. You just talk to people and you will find out a lot. So, for example, what we've learned from our future audience, that many blind people still have light perception and prefer coming to screenings in daylight. So we scheduled a weekly screenings Tuesday at 11, when normally cinema is not working. It's a quiet hour, easier for travel, especially in buses and in trams, there is no traffic. And this is just more comfortable for blind people and lower vision people. And what Mustafa said earlier about systemic changes. In 2023, after a year of fighting for rights to make film accessible with distributors, we realized this can't be just about screenings in 1 city twice a week. We have 34 million inhabitants in Poland and our city is only 500,000. So we need systematic change so people across Poland can benefit. We decided to organize Forum Without Barriers. In 2024, we launched the first national meeting in Poland for distributors, policymakers, cinema owners and NGOs. We talk openly about obstacles, lack of knowledge, copyright fears, gaps in laws, and how to overcome them together as a whole industry. And now we are a part of working group at the Accessibility Council under the Polish Ministry of Funds and Regional Policy, and we are actually advising on impact assessments for upcoming changes to the Polish Cinematography Act, so it will be more accessible. So I would suggest to invite the distributor to an accessible screening and let her or him see the real impact. So why does it matter? And this is something I want to share with you. The photo on the right shows a blind boy who came to the cinema with his sighted sister and friends. It's in a small town of around 5,000 inhabitants. And it was the first time they could all enjoy a movie together. No one had to stay home. And that happens a lot at our screenings, that family finally can go. The deaf father with his daughter who hear everything. So this is very important for us to create this community all together. So accessibility is not an extra, it's the future of cinema, actually. As we and our audience age and diversify, inclusive design and communication will benefit us all. And yeah, we are the growing society, we are the aging population. So yeah, very soon my father now, he needs the induction loop because he cannot, he used the hearing aid. So final word, I would say collaborate, listen, learn, try, share what works and share what fails, because this is something on which we can really learn. and stay open, and accessibility is not a fixed goal, it's a process. And we are all together in it because we will be soon the people who will benefit from it. And here is the QR code to our Accessible Cinema Toolbox, which was also produced with the fundings from Collaborate to Innovate program. So we are very glad that we joined this program. And I have, I have a video, but I have time. Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Amazing work. Really, really amazing work. It's unbelievable. So the first question is, how many people are working on it?
Yeah, so we started 2 persons, me and Jakub, in the beginning. Now we are 3.
Wow.
But we are in the big institution, so you know there is like a marketing department, a promotion department, film department. So there are a lot of departments that are helping us. But in fact, we are working in 3 people on the project now.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the project is financed by Europa Cinemas and other local
now
community.
Now the Creative Europe. Audience Development and Film Education Scheme. This is the international project with the 4 countries. But we are also having funds from Polish Film Institute.
But they buy the tickets, or is it just for the project? Is it free entrance for the
No, entrance is for 5 zlotys, which is really low. It's around €1.
Okay.
But we wanted to keep it because in the researches, the people told us that they want to pay. They want to be a regular.
Yeah, that makes sense for the beginning.
Yeah.
So okay. So I can give you just one question because we need to. We are late. So one here.
It's not really a question, it's more of an echo, because as a person who sees what this project is doing, I just want to say that this project is making a huge impact in our country. And this is to answer basically the thing about the Italian movies you said earlier, that before this program there wasn't many movies with audio description, with open subtitles, etc. And due to this project, due to the funding, due to the talks with the distributor, it's growing and growing, and the cinema is becoming more accessible throughout the whole country, and every cinema in Poland is realizing that this is important. So we didn't have many accessible films before. Now it's every week a new film comes, every 2 weeks. It's more and more, it's growing, not only for Polish movies, but also for foreign movies. So I just want to say that this is making a huge impact. And this is should be an inspiration for everyone. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, it's me again. Hi. So I guess you've seen a few different aspects of our organisation, but I'll just give you a little bit of background. So Watershed was set up in 1982, and we now have about 80 members of staff. Probably slightly more since after COVID. And we've got a good track record in how we kind of look after our staff. So we won Best Employer Award by Bristol Pride. And we also were one of the first organizations to kind of join in the social enterprise trademark. Yes, we kind of care about our staff. And I personally manage about 7 people plus a whole bunch of freelancers as well. And obviously, you know, as you know, with management, everyone's different. It's a little bit like looking after a garden. If you don't water the garden, it all goes wrong. Everyone's got different working styles, different access needs, different personalities. One size doesn't fit all. Some will actively seek support from me, some won't. Some are extroverts, some are introverts. So it's really worth, I think, all of us, and I'm sure you do, but thinking about how you get the best out of your people. And how you create an environment that can help get the best out of people. And by environment, I mean everything, like the building, the space you're in when you work together, where you do your meetings. You know, is it better to go for a walk for a meeting or stay in a room? We're very lucky at Watershed that we have actually got some kind of, it used to be called HR, we now call it a people strategy, because HR sometimes gets a bad reputation for just being about dismissing people, discipline, so on. So we're very lucky to have Helen Jaffer there, who's our head of people, who's got like a fantastic energy and is doing a really great job to kind of develop our working culture. So it's looking at areas of development, training for the team, and well-being has been really at the center of our work. I've got this little video I thought I'd quickly share, but we did this after COVID. We needed to recruit quite a lot, and we realized it was actually quite difficult for people to know what it's like to work there. So we decided to make this little video to kind of try to be more attractive to people and to give them a sense of what is it like to work at Watershed. What kind of place, what can you expect? Because one of the things we wanted to do was to diversify our team as well. We had this opportunity to do new recruitment, and we wanted to attract new people to the building. So I'll just show you just 1 minute of this. It gets a bit embarrassing after a while for me. And yeah, we were all working remotely at the time. We need the music. There was music, but the voices.
My inner creative
That's fine, you can just leave
that
it.
I feel I've had to suppress to get by in my career in the past.
Working at Watershed just feels like a really accepting place, a place where I kind of can be myself, but also where I can learn and grow. And I think it's a place where you can step outside and think differently and take risks, and that's really, I really appreciate that.
It's the first job where I saw people who looked like me and I felt included.
Watershed is really excited to try new things and to wear that on its sleeve a little bit. So some things work really well, some things maybe don't work so well, but there's a real kind of a group effort towards creating change, I think, and kind of seeing where change can come from and what that change can be.
Our DMs are...
Yeah, you get the picture. And I don't know if you saw as well, there was like a BSL version of it, so people that do sign language could also watch it. And it was trying to sort of recognize as well, for a lot of people, looking at an application form can be really overwhelming, and you can end up attracting only a certain type of person that likes looking at that. Which slide is this? Yeah, so the other thing that we've started doing, I think we've done it for 4 years now, is to actually look at the makeup of our team. This picture is really old. You can see a very young me, like this. And it's just to show, that this is when we won the Europa Cinemas Entrepreneur Award a very long time ago. And obviously the team's changed, the demographics have changed and so on. And for us to kind of understand who's actually working for us and who are these people. So we do an annual survey of our team. We are obsessed with surveys in the UK. I will just say that. And we take it too far. But for us, it was useful in terms of trying to think about, who's working for us, where should we make more of an effort to get more people from different demographics. Because from an audience development strategy perspective, if your team doesn't reflect your community, you will find it very hard to attract that community. So it's a practical thing. It's not about doing the right thing, or it's actually, as a business, we need to be diverse. We need to reflect our community. And you'll notice in the in the survey that 21% of our staff is neurodivergent. This figure does not surprise me, but it means you need to think about that in terms of training, how you're talking to people, the type of environment you're creating, and so on. So we do this survey. It looks very complicated, and I apologize, but it's actually become a really useful tool for us. So on this side, you can see the actions we're taking as a result of doing the survey. So we've created things like a staff forum, which is allowing staff to kind of talk about things that they're not so happy about. They might not feel so involved in decisions. They can bring things up to our attention. In terms of internal comm, we've got an anonymous email which goes to our CEO. So if Watershed's made a decision, for instance, about Chinatown or screening Chinatown or doing the Palestine Film Festival, and someone is really unhappy about it, they can contact our CEO anonymously and they get a response which the whole of the organization sees. And then, there's things like moving to more restorative people practice. So rather than moving really quickly into disciplinary situations, we try to offer more, not counseling, but kind of restorative processes to kind of try to understand why there's a problem maybe between two people and how we can make that better. And we've also started offering coaching. You'll notice in some of the lowest scoring things, some people feel like they don't have the same opportunities to succeed within the organization. So we tried to focus on some of the groups that were less represented in senior management or management roles and offered coaching to those specific people within the organization. So we're able to create a very targeted, sort of responsive program of development for the team. You'll see we did neurodiversity training, and that was a result of us realizing like how big a thing that was for us. And we made sure that when we got the training, it wasn't training that was kind of saying this is how you work with the neurodivergent people as if they're another group. We knew that within our group there were lots of people that were neurodivergent, and that was a small nuance, but it was very important to how the training was delivered. The next one's funny. This is Kamina. And Kamina's been offering coaching to some of the people that work for us, and she's just been an amazing addition to what we're able to offer staff when they're hitting like quite a difficult time in their career, or they're not able to navigate something, or they just want to they're trying to find ways of dealing with a difficult situation or something. And I've benefited from this. It's been absolutely amazing for me. The other thing the other big piece of work that we did was around, I've said about our representation. So Watershed, the staff, who we are as an organization, there's more that we could do in terms of diversifying who works with us. So we did a lot of work on, how are we going to do that? We had very fixed processes of how we recruited people. They had to write an application, a written application, and so on. We were perhaps not advertising the roles far enough in different types of outlets and so on. So we've done a lot of work on where we advertise. We have a much longer lead time now to jobs. We used to sometimes advertise a job just for 1 week or 2 weeks. Now we have like a 2-month window to do that. We actually provide different ways for people to get in touch, so they can contact us with like a video statement. They can ask for like access support. We also provide the interview questions before the actual interview, which might sound mad, but actually when you think about it, why put people under such pressure when you want to understand who they are as a person and how they're going to function. We also do things like little interview chats with a very long list of people. So someone could have made a very bad statement, but actually when you meet them, you're like, you're great. You just didn't make a very good statement once you start talking to them. And this is getting us really good results in terms of who's now applying for roles. And I've seen it within even my own team. I've seen like a change. this is more like about developing resources for your team. When I started at Watershed, there was no training, nothing. Like, we just learned on the job. You became a manager, you had no clue whatsoever. Now I think we have much more resources for managers, like within the team, and it's really improving things to actually recognize that you can't just become a manager and not know anything about dealing with people. There are skills, there's strategies, and we give our line managers and our staff a lot of access to different resources, so to empower them to do a good job. I'm hoping you all use job descriptions. Do you all use job descriptions? As in, like, describing somebody's job when they start, and then making sure you kind of like regularly review that job description as their role develops. It's really worth doing that, even for yourself. You know, if you're one man or one woman band, and to look at like having a clear sense of purpose and responsibilities. Yeah, if anyone, I'm not going to go into the review form, but having regular reviews. We do regular reviews at Watershed with staff, and I'm always amazed with all the things that come out. I see these people every single day in my team, but during the review, something specific happens where they will tell me things that I didn't realize, things that are happening in their lives, aspirational things about what they'd like to do, problems they're having with the structure. So to actually make the time to have a meeting with your team, by a review, I mean, it's not about operations, it's about how is this people feeling about where they're working, how are they feeling about my management style, how can we make things better, but also if they need help with something, what kind of training can I provide? Yeah, this is, I think, just, I'm not going to go deeply into this, but doing some work on your values and then showing actions that reflect your values can help your team feel much more part of an organization that actually cares. So, for instance, our CEO took quite a strong stance on a recent ruling in the UK around access to facilities in public spaces for the trans community. And I think for people that are trans or are from the queer community within our organization, it was a signal, you know, to kind of say that we care about you and we are going to fight for your rights as well, and you're welcome here. So the things you do for the public also matter to your staff. The final thing I'm going to just flag, because it's been extremely useful, we've recently moved to a kind of new resolution framework. So rather than kind of everyone going to Helen, the person that I pointed out, when there's any problems, we're trying to create a resolution framework for the organization. So challenging situations can be dealt with by different people in different levels of the organization. This was quite an interesting stat, that we did some training as part of this. This is the company that delivered it. And one of the main problems they were talking about is managers don't address problems. Because rather than addressing the problem, you kind of let it go, you let it grow into a big thing. And we did some work around like our different personality types, you know, people that are confrontational, people that avoid confrontations, people that always like to harmonize, and the pluses and minuses of all these different personalities that we have. We've done that across our whole team. So I was with people from our cafe bar, from our different parts of the organization, and it was such a helpful framework for those conversations. And we're now implementing this framework at the moment, which hopefully will free up our head of people, will help the team get better at resolving any issues that arise at the very local level, rather than escalating things. And that's it. I think all these things are helping people that work with us feel like that, myself included.
Is it really dead? I think it's really dead. Oh no, we're still there. Thank you so much, Maddy. That's very inspiring. I think we have time for one question. Anyone with a direct question right now? There we go.
Sorry, probably you told it, but I will ask again. You told that when you start your job in your company, so these activities never exist, and in the start, and how long this process of training and facilitation, etc., you apply in your organization, and if you repeat some training again and again.
That's a really good point about when you start anything like the neurodiversity training, you have to keep onboarding people. And yeah, it's really worth thinking about that. It's taken a very long time. I mean, literally when I started, this lab was the main training I got. I was sent to this lab about 15 years ago. And all this stuff is much more recent. So it's in the last 5 years maybe that we've started realizing we really, really need to train people as we've become bigger. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're going on to Marlene from Casablanca. Come on up. And in the meantime, I was thinking about something Tara said, because Mark had in his presentation something about treat AI as maybe a fast-thinking intern, but internship is of course all about teaching the person that comes in and not using them as something that you can like extract. Why not, Rob? Well, we all have to learn this amazing thing that's called cinema. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Following
Great.
up Maddy,
There you
that's
go.
quite a tough job. It was a fantastic presentation. Thank you. We'll see. Hi, my name is Marlene, and I'm part of the Casablanca Cinema and one of the board members of Casa Collective, the collective that runs the cinema. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to speak with you. Thank you for creating the space. And preparing for this talk, I kept returning to a question. What does it even mean to build a work environment that centers inclusion and well-being? Not just as a bonus, but as a foundation on how we work together. It is a question that sits at the heart of how we work at Casablanca, and also one that continues to challenge and to stretch us. And as you will see, I will not give you a concrete concept, and more will focus on ideas and ideals we carry throughout our work. I'm even more happy to be able to nearly close off this day, because I think we'll be able to incorporate a lot of things that we talked about today and in the last few days. How to create a cinema that feels like a living room, a friendly neighborhood, or a beehive. So for us at Casablanca, cinema is both a safe space and a shared public space, a place where people can come as they are and where voices that are often overlooked can be heard and taken seriously. This balance is not always easy. We want to hold emotional safety and political urgency at the same time. That's why at Casablanca we don't separate programming from organizing. For us, programming and organizing are two sides of the same practice. We try to embed care, inclusion, and political awareness into every step of the work. In what we show on screen, how we make decisions, who feels invited to collaborate with Casablanca, and on how we hold space when people disagree. So culture for us is not something we deliver or something we cater to an audience, it's something we make together. That's the shift, that cinema, that makes the Casablanca so successful. That makes Casablanca so successful. Cinema becomes communal, a culture of commons where people work together. It's not just about which films we show, but about how we work, who gets to shape the story, whose labor is seen, and whose presence is felt in the room. This is what makes cinema democratic, not just in content, but in the processes. So shortly about Casablanca, our motto is cinema with courage. That means courage to listen, to show difficult truths, and to center marginalized perspectives. But also it means the courage to build community, to stay curious, and to care for one another and for how we work together. Let me give you a short history on Casablanca. Casablanca is located in Nürnberg's Südstadt. It's a place shaped by working class, and it's quite a multicultural neighborhood. That history of migration and resistance deeply shapes how we show up as cinema and informs both the films we show and the way we choose to organize ourselves. Casablanca is a small independent cinema. It is operated, like I said, by Casa, a non-profit, with 1,500 members. 70 of those are actively or more or less involved in the day-to-day actions at our cinema. The cinema in its current form was born in 2009 when a grassroots campaign saved a shut-down neighborhood theater from permanent closure. Everything, I mean really everything, from the writing, the programming, from the first negotiations with distributors that were really hard to make people believe we can actually pay the bills, to installing the new projectors. Everything was built by volunteers. 15 years later, a lot of things have changed, but even more has stayed the same. Casablanca is still non-commercial and mission-driven, still organized horizontally, still run by people who care more about collective visions than personal gains. Please keep that in mind. We don't have like such a professional structure that Maddy presented. A lot of things are like doing or just keeping up with our team. Why am I sharing this origin story? Because it continues to shape how we work together till this day. Our beginning through grassroots organization reminded us that cinema is not a product and cinema is not just a venue. It is a civic space, and our way of working is part of that civic movement. I'm not going to offer a fixed blueprint, but we hope to share models, starting points, or even just conversations on how cultural spaces might operate differently. After reopening the cinema in 2009 as a non-profit community-led space, one of our most important questions became, how do we organize ourselves in a way that is sustainable, inclusive and rooted in solidarity, not just efficiency? At Casablanca, our work culture is shaped by the belief that how we work matters just as much as what we show on screen. We don't have fixed roles for the most part. People contribute based on their capacity, their curiosity, and also on their energy levels. We have close to no job titles or formal qualifications to get a job at Casablanca. This creates a flexibility, but it also requires a lot of trust and a lot of responsibility. Core principles are simple, but they guide everything. We do have a flat structure. We value transparency in all the communication, budgeting, and planning. We prioritize rest as part of the work, especially working with a lot of volunteering. We try to focus on one thing that I personally think is really important. We do all the learning by doing. So giving people the time and space to experiment, to get to know themselves, and to get to know how they work in a cinema context. So volunteering at Casablanca is not just glorified unpaid labor. It's a shared ownership. People don't just help out, they co-create. This open space, the space for people to develop skills, like I said, to take initiatives and to feel part of something larger. Something Maddy already talked about is really important for getting a group to hold on together. Over time, this approach has turned the cinema into more than just a workplace. It has become a space where people find voice, build confidence, and connect through meaningful collective work. Of course, this model comes with its challenges, but it also allows the cinema to remain alive, not just in terms of programming, but in the way it's built day by day by those who care about it. Problems arise naturally because people come with different expectations, needs, and energy levels. What feels empowering to the one person can feel overwhelming to another. Burnout is real, especially in spaces where emotional labor and cinema labor is emotional labor, and a lot of care work aren't always recognized as work. And when conflict arises, there's no boss to step in. That means repair and accountability have to come from within the group, which takes time, patience, and practice. So we return to questions like, how can we stay open without exhausting each other? We are currently working on trying to implement a few things to help. We do emotional check-ins before every meeting. We're trying to do like little check-ins after every meeting on keeping each other accountable. How did we talk to each other? What do we have to do better next time? We do have clear opt-in and opt-out points. So participation in project is not just based on guilt, what often happens with volunteering. We try to put in pauses that are regular to reflect, redistribute, and think about how we have to work with the people and how to give each person the thing they need in that moment. We are really strong on conflict support. That's not just about like shifting blames. It's more about learning and moving forward as a collective. These aren't perfect solutions by any means, but they help us to stay honest about the limits of the collective work that we do, whilst also staying committed to it as a practice that we value because of its care, inclusion, and long-term sustainability. At Casablanca, volunteering doesn't stop at our internal team. We see the cinema as a space for a broader co-creation, open to participation from people, groups that are outside our own collective. This means, for example, activists group who can co-create film events or series on certain topics they care about, on supporting other grassroots organizations by giving them the space cinema to use for events, fundraisers, or gatherings, to invite people with lived experience to lead post-film discussions, adding context and personal insight to screenings and films. By opening up the space in that way, the cinema becomes one part of a larger urban movement. It's about not just about doing outreach, it's about building with other communities. Participation here means more than watching a film. It's about shaping what cinema is and what it is, what it shows and who it is for. These collaborations come together in really different ways. Some are very intentional and goal-orientated. Others happen more organically, sometimes even by chance. Often people simply reach out to us and say, hey, we need a space, can you help us out? Over the years, really have been able to build up that reputation, and we've become quite frankly a safe haven for a lot of people who always try to get us on their sides, which is really beautiful and one of the biggest honors to have as a cinema. These are really different. For example, I'm currently working closely with the Neue Museum für Moderne Kunst, the Museum for Contemporary Art in Nuremberg, on developing educational program around the video art of the Swiss artist Pippi Lottie-Rist, which includes a cinema screening for which we were really lucky to receive a 35mm print from a gallery. We also have a lot of long-standing partnerships, like with environmental NGOs. Together we regularly host free screenings on climate justice or other sustainability topics. To give another example on how cinema can carry those political and emotional weights, on Lesbian Visibility Day in April, we screened The Watermelon Woman by Cheryl Dunier and had a talk about how, with a local activist, on how hard it is to archive and tell stories of queer Black people. And after the film, we had a deep conversation that lasted way beyond the screening. A group of people stayed long after. They kept talking, connecting, and that group still exists today in our cinema. They continue to meet, use the cinema as a shared space, and are actively shaping in what happens at Casablanca. As someone involved in running a cinema, this is the most rewarding part of the work. So you're probably thinking, why am I telling you this? Most of you probably don't have 70 people they can rely on that are willing to do unpaid labor. You don't need those 70 people. That's like my hot take for the evening. What you need is maybe a little bit of courage to try new ways of opening up cinema, making it more accessible, participatory, and connected. I think a lot of these things are already happening throughout the little talks that we had the last days. I strongly believe that a lot of small but meaningful practices can really help here shift the tone for people to feel invited to come to cinema, but also invited to work there. For example, the co-curated series that give the space space cinema to other people to connect, but also to talk about different topics. We do have like small programs like pay whatever you can nights. We call them Casablanca. We stole it from American museums. On Mondays you can come to the cinema and pay as much as you want to or you're able to. We do think it's really important to host a lot of post-screening talks to frame the cinema experience. Of course, we are able to do that because we do have 70 people with different interests who are always available. And we make a point to make those happenings quite a regular thing, so it always feels inviting and something people can count on. These all seem like smart gestures, but they create real shifts. They change who feels that cinema is for them, both on screen and behind. They show that cinema doesn't need to be exclusive or closed off. It can be a shared cultural space built through small actions of trust and participation. We don't have a perfect model, and we're not trying to build one, but what we've seen again and again is that small spaces can create really, really strong shifts, especially when people feel a sense of ownership, safety, and purpose. This kind of work takes time. It includes many, many, many mistakes, and it asks us to slow down, to listen, and to keep adjusting at all times. I think especially the listening part is quite important. What we've learned is simple but not always easy. Inclusion and well-being aren't extras or side goals. They are the ground we build on, and not they are the foundation, not just decoration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was very inspiring. Thank you so much for that. Is there anyone with a question for Marlene? Oh. We have a special category for tickets where you can manually at what prices the people pay, and I can confidently say that it really works out. There are a lot of people who go to the cinemas on especially that day because they can finally afford it, but there are also a lot of people who are willing to pay a little bit extra, so we always cover our normal ticket costs. Yes,
Yeah.
I second that. We do that as well.
We normally have fixed prices, yes. Yeah, we do have a minimum of 50 cents to €2, and we never go beneath that.
So because we couldn't because of the Italian financial system, so we have to do fixed. It has to be a price, so we can pay what we want, but you can pay 3, 5, 7, or 10. So I'm asking, how do you do that? So if I would like to pay 250, that's not possible. Of course, we have to declare it in advance. I like the idea, but I ask myself, how do you do it? How you would do it in Italy?
Maybe that's a problem for Italy, because I talk with distributors a lot, and if you talk with them beforehand, they're quite willing to accept that situation. But I think that's different in Afro. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's quite important. I think that's it.
Oh, Maddy had a question.
Oh.
Yeah, I was really interested in, well, the whole thing, really. I mean, how you managed to kind of self-manage so many volunteers. I just wondered if you could share a little bit more about, you know, we're building this conflict resolution framework, and I'm interested from you who has done this from the grassroots up. How do you resolve conflicts? Do you have a mechanism in place where you put people together and...
There was never a mechanism. We are at a point where we're realizing we do need more strategies to deal with certain things. We are in a generational shift at Casablanca, which is something that's always really conflict heavy because there are a lot of responsibilities that are shifting. We do try to make it a focus and a work to have regular check-ins, especially in the leading team of the cinema, so that we always take time out to actually talk about how we are doing, what is important to us before a big conflict arises, even, to always make the communication part like an integral part of how we work together. But it's a lot of figuring it out, and I would be lying if I'd say we always have been really good about conflict resolution. There have been a lot of bigger fights, as it's normal, I think, for non-profits. But it's something, especially the younger generation, is really keen on implementing for the future.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're going to hear from Wojtek now. Thank you so much for presenting.
Really love this microphone. I feel like I'm doing a podcast. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the very last presentation, I think. When I first proposed my presentation, I wanted to do a presentation about how to survive the heat in Bologna, but they said it wouldn't fit this session. And I saw in the program that I was the very last one. And I reminded myself, because as I told some of you already, I've already been to one of the labs in the Sofia Lab 2023. Here's a lovely picture from it, from all of us participants. And I remember that just after the picture was taken, we had the last session, and they asked us the same question that we get asked every single day. After the sessions are finished, they ask us, what do we want to bring to our cinema? I got asked this question, and I thought, I don't know. I have no idea what to do. And everyone was coming in and sharing their ideas, and everyone said, I'm going to bring that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I came to the microphone, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't have any sort of idea what to do. And it made me feel really bad that I wasted my time here, and that was just, my head was empty. But I was proven wrong by myself, and I wanted to tell you about that because as the finish approaches, some of you may feel the same as me, and I want to tell you that nothing's wrong with you. It might be natural. There's a lot of ideas here. So I'm just going to talk through about what I did after I came back from my first lab to maybe inspire you to do the same. The topic of my presentation is doing the changes, including your team, and without leaving anyone behind, to include everyone from your team in your changes. Just like you were talking, that you're gonna come back and be buzzing with, excitement and ideas and fresh heads, and everyone around you will be like, "You're welcome from your holiday." To the contrast, this is our cinemas team back in December 2023. Not everyone was here. This was a Christmas meeting. Some of them have already gone home. This was a tough situation for us because there were a lot of changes, as you know, after the pandemic and stuff. We were all kind of tired and in desperate needs of some changes. But no one knew that because we were kind of stuck in our old ways. We had to do all the same things all the same time. And once I came back with my head completely empty, I sat down at my desk and everything was coming to me at the moment because doing our day-to-day, I noticed that some of our tools were very outdated. Some of our processes were really, done wrong. We wasted so much time doing things. So I really focus on the internal part of what we did. Since I'm not a programmer, since we do everything. So I kind of just focus on what on the internal side. I tried to take a step back, look at what we were doing, and then apply some changes. So here are a few examples. One of them, this is a picture, this is a screenshot of our old file in which we did our weekly schedule. I mean, it looks like it might work. There are certainly informations here. I've actually could have already showed you the new one. But I thought to myself, well, we waste so much time, pasting the information into that, then taking the information out of that. It's just a simple Google Sheet file. So I've kind of changed it. I'm going to skip a few slides just to show you how it looks now. This is all very simple, and the best part, it's free. You just need to have a sort of a nerd who will kind of go through the formulas and kind of put the perspective into the whole thing. But it did wonders. And actually, when I first did this, I showed it to my boss, and she was like, "I didn't even ask you to do that. Like, who asked you?" But like in a good way. She was not like angry about it. But it did wonders. It was a simple change, just kind of made it look kind of different. There are some formulas in there that make our work actually easier. If some of you are interested, I'm happy to show you after we finish, because I get really passionate about that, and I might be the only one who's passionate about Excel and Google Sheets, so I just don't want to bore you with that. This is my nerdy side coming out, sorry. The other thing is an event tracker. This is the previous slide, which was fine. Mostly during the lockdown, when we didn't have any events, it worked wonderfully. Once the events started coming in, it kind of became a mess. There's a lot of information. There's a lot going on. It was really hard to figure out what to do. So after I came back, I've tried to look into different tools. One of them was Asana. It might be quite obvious, but for a small team like ours, we never realized that we might actually need some tools. We thought that just a simple spreadsheet would be enough. But this again did wonders. It's not very expensive, but it really helps us track what everyone has to do, what everyone can do. We know about what each of us does, and it's basically a more expanded to-do list application, but we kind of make it work, because this was a really important point for us, that we don't want to make changes in which we change everything. I wanted to introduce changes that are based on what we are used to, that are based on our processes, that are based on what we already know, and just to expand it to make it, easier. And it was quite easy, because I didn't ask for permission. Once my boss said that she didn't ask me to do this and actually liked it, I thought, well, let's do this again. So I just came up to her and told her, like, hey, like, we're doing this, look at that. She was very open to that, which I'm very happy. Not like the rest of the team. They were quite kind of, willing to explore, but not really sure that it would help. But it took them literally an hour to convince them that this is something that will actually help us. And the best part is, after we've done this, they came to me and they said that they don't imagine their work being done any other way now, and they don't understand how we lived before, which is a very nice thing to hear. Another thing we had to take care of was our front of house team. We got a wonderful team that is doing everyday work. Most of them are students, and they come in different capacities. Some of them are here like for the entire month. Some of them just come a few times a week. And we had a problem that not all of them knew what was going on in the cinema. Our internal communication was basically non-existent at the time. And it's really a shame when a viewer comes to the box office, asks about the event, and the staff doesn't know what's going on. So then again, we did like a simple spreadsheet which just shows everyone what is going on. I've actually spent quite a lot of time to make sure that we don't have to manually put all in the informations again. This will take me 27 hours to explain. So if everyone's willing, I'm happy to do this after the session. It just shows what we are playing. It just shows the events we have. It shows the next. We have a lot of recurring events. So the next recurring event is showing in the middle on the top here. Some next releases, the films we are playing right now. And the films that have gone off the schedule the previous week. It's doing really well. We still have some work to do because there's so many things. This is a schedule for the last week of May. There were not that many events because we had a film festival, so there's only like 12 events and 3 premieres and a film festival. Yeah, we kind of have a lot of different things. But yeah, it's going to get much better. But the point this all brought us to is that last year in the autumn we actually kind of hit the wall. I think that even with the changes and the things we did, it didn't really feel like enough because we just kind of couldn't talk to each other properly, and even with all the things we did in our computers in our office, we still had some problems just talking to each other. So even with the core team, with the office team, as well as the front of the house team. So mind you, we are much smaller than Watershed, so we didn't have the sort of resources to prepare to deal with such situations. But we did ask for help, and it really made a difference because we realized that we cannot deal with this ourselves. And this is just an illustration from one of the workshops we did. We had a sort of a mentor, a mediator of sorts, that's kind of dealing with the situation. And at first we were quite resistant because, as always with the situation, well, a person comes and will try to, help you figure out your life and will know everything. And it's like, oh, what is this business? Can we just get to work and wouldn't it be easier? But once we kind of got to know each other better, like we had some unresolved issues. We talked about the way we communicate with each other. I had to explain to my teammates that I'm not rude. This just is my sense of humor. And it worked. Now they laugh. Who would thought? Thank you. And it's this kind of a thing that we implemented in our everyday work. Like after those sessions, 2 of my colleagues actually left the cinema, left the team, which is 2 people is a lot if you're a team of 6 people. But it was all in a very good spirit because we realized that they needed some changes, we needed some changes. It was kind of a hard transition to go through, but you can always go out stronger from this. And this is kind of our perspective from now on. And now this mentor is still kind of with us and still kind of helping us adjust to these changes. I guess the point of this is just not be scared to ask for help. This goes as well to those of you who are managers and to those who are just working in your cinemas, that it's okay to not know some things. It's okay to ask for someone else to take over. And then again, it's okay to tell your boss, to tell someone else that something is wrong and that we need, to just take a moment, especially if you're so, overworked and doing a lot of stuff, to just kind of, you have to take a break and just kind of look at this, at your stuff from beyond, from like take a step back. So yeah, this is the things that I learned from the past 2 years after I came back from Sofia, that you don't have to ask for permission. Sometimes you just have to come in with ready solutions, with what you feel might work, and then kind of work towards making it accessible to everyone, to every single person in your team, because it's important that everyone feels comfortable. Being super clean with your worries or troubles is much better than keeping it to yourself, which is something that we had to learn in the past months. Even if it seems obvious, sometimes it really is not obvious. Yeah, making sure that everyone feels included, with the open communication, with taking part in the changes, with just talking to each other is very important. And it may sometimes bring unexpected results, like sometimes the thing you want to change will not work out properly, sometimes it will lead to people leaving your team, and it's all fine. Like, we can make it work, we can do this all in the whole spirit. And just for the last side, for looking for the future, you might think, if it was so perfect, why are you coming back? Well, the fuel you will get here will take you so far, and you can use it however you want. You can make some great changes. Maybe you won't need. I'm here because I needed to re-energize, which is something that I think I achieved. So thank you all for that. And yeah, my advice to you would be just to use as much as you got here. Let it take you somewhere. You may not even know right now what you're going to do with all of this information, but I'm sure this change of mindset will really help you. And you know what? Give yourself some credit after you've done all of this. Pat yourself on the back. It's really okay. You really deserved it, especially after those 5 hot days in Bologna. Thank you so much.
This is great. Thank you so much for starting the return strategy for us. We gave him some money before.
Did you?
Yes, we did. Don't deny it.
I'll look into that.
No, thank you so much. I don't know if there was anyone that had an instant reaction to this. I wanted to ask something. I did want to say something to you.
All right.
Discover Airtable. This can be your next obsession.
I've actually put it down on my phone when you told us. Yeah, I know.
It's a whole new, because you like your Excel, but Airtable will take you to another level. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting what you said about telling one of your colleagues about how you communicate. And I think if there was one thing I would advise you to take from the big Watershed presentation, is make time for non-operational conversations with your colleagues. We're so driven by activity, the audience-facing stuff, doing activity and so on. And if make time for your team, make time for things like this. You can do your own workshops. Like you say, you can call on a facilitator if you can't just do it in-house. But remember, you are the engine, and we tend to be so focused on the outside, and just making the time, like once a week. Think about your meeting structures, where you meet, how you interact with your colleagues. Do you know each other? Do you actually know what people are like or why they're the way they are? So making the time to do that, I think, would really help.